Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Great, excellent. Welcome to the 6th annual Sister District Summit. I'm so honored to be here with all of you. And before I begin, I want to recognize our staff who have worked tirelessly to put this incredible event together. So if you're staff, if you could please stand up so folks can see who you are. And I do want to give Thank you. And I want to give a special shout out as well to our Senior Operations Manager, Mara Helmke, who has been our fearless summit leader. Thank you also again to our wonderful summit sponsors who've made this event possible. And I want to give a very special welcome to our alumni who are here with us today. We have AJ Cordolu hailing from Arizona, who He ran an inspiring and hard-fought race we were proud to support in 2020. And we also have Representative Lorena Austin, also from Arizona, somewhere here. As well as Representative Deb Butler and her campaign manager, Nancy O'Donoghue from North Carolina. And I'm, of course, grateful to all of you, our volunteers and our leaders, for making the effort to be here in person for the first time since before the pandemic. Whether you braved the traffic from across the Bay Area and California, or traveled from as far away as Chicago or Boston, thank you. As we gather here today, I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've accomplished. Our organizing and political director, Jarvis Houston, will talk later today about our collective impact, but I couldn't help myself and share a few highlights I'm especially proud of. Last year, we reached out to more than 500,000 voters through calls, texts, doors, and postcards, including an average of 74% of our candidates' calls to voters. We raised more than $1.37 million directly to candidates and community organizing partners, raising a median of 14% of our candidates' total dollars, with 84% of that landing before Labor Day, reflecting our strategic emphasis on the importance of early money to help build strong campaigns from the ground up. None of this could have happened without you, without your energy, creativity, grit, without you showing up week after week to lead your team's phone bank, without you organizing one, maybe too ambitious fundraiser, but it was still totally amazing, without sending that final late night email, without writing that last batch of postcards, without reeling in that one friend who became an amazing volunteer. Without giving that extra dollar or that extra hour, we could not have achieved what we did together. It is because of you. Democrats have a trifecta in Michigan and the majorities they need to pass gun safety legislation, to protect poll workers and combat disinformation, to repeal the 1931 law that bans abortion and contraception, and to make sure we protected reproductive justice in Michigan for good. It's because of you. We flipped a seat in Pennsylvania by 63 votes, enabling a slim majority in the House, putting Democrats in a position to block Republican efforts at a constitutional amendment that would have banned abortion and imposed stricter voter ID laws. It's because of you. We staved off Republican supermajorities in North Carolina and Wisconsin, keeping the floodgates closed on a wave of conservative legislation that would have evaded the Democratic governor's veto. It is because of you. We elected historic firsts, like Arizona Representative Lorena Austin, the first gender nonconforming Chicanx elected to any state legislature, and re-elected fearless, effective advocates like Representative Deb Butler. It is because of you that for the first time in over a decade, more Americans live in a state with complete Democratic control than complete Republican control. And last year was the first midterm where a president's party didn't lose a single state legislative chamber since 1934. But of course, our work ahead is far from done. Americans all across the country, including many of us in this room, still live in states where so-called right-to-work laws have weakened unions, where the climate crisis is ignored, where discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity is permitted, where guns are easier to obtain than abortions. Just last week, the Texas legislature advanced an anti-foreigner bill that, had it been in place when I was 2 years old where I lived, would have banned my parents from buying the house that I grew up in. All of this is why I stand here today, asking you to join me in recommitting to this work. The stakes are high, but I know that we are up to the challenge. Sister District has been laser focused on state legislatures since we were founded in the wake of the 2016 election because of the outsized impact they have in shaping the laws and policies that impact our communities and our country the most. From education to healthcare to voting rights to climate, state legislatures have the power to determine the direction of our communities and our country. And state legislatures are only becoming more powerful with the upcoming decision in Moore versus Harper, in which the arch-conservative Supreme Court is likely to endorse at least some form of the fringe, far-right, independent state legislature theory. This could potentially give state legislatures immensely more control over federal elections and thus enable them to do even more gerrymandering and voter suppression. While conservatives have long understood the importance of building power at all levels of government, particularly at the state and local levels, Democrats are, as you hear us often say at Sister District, tardy to the party. But there is a path to catching up, to forging a future where voters are fairly represented and where progressive values are actualized into policies for Americans everywhere. And our work at Sister District is forging this path. By supporting candidates who share our values and by building democratic infrastructure for the long term, we can live in a country where our lawmakers and the policies they enact truly reflect the needs and the desires of the people. So, what will it take to achieve this vision of a truly representative democracy? We need a North Star, and that is building long-term power in the states. To achieve this, we must execute our plans with precision each week and each month, but we must plan in terms of years and even decades. This is how we marry the two sides of our organization, winning urgent elections each year and building democratic infrastructure for the long term. On the electoral side, we will continue to target close, winnable districts in key battleground states every year this decade so that we can be in the strongest position possible for redistricting in 2031. And on the infrastructure side, we will grow our programs that fill gaps in the ecosystem. And that means that even in an odd year where political organizations usually take a step back, we are taking the opportunity to go even bigger. In fact, there's no better time to invest in projects that will bear fruit for the long term than in an odd year. And we are in expansion mode. Next, my co-founder, Gabby Goldstein, will talk more about our 2023-2024 strategy. But before I hand things over to Gabby, I wanted to share a short story with you, one that I've shared with a few of you before. Last May, the Dobbs decision was leaked, portending a seismic shift in our country. After the leak, people from coast to coast gathered to protest the Supreme Court's coming decision that would strip us of our constitutional right to an abortion and turn the question back to the states. I was one of those people, and I marched proudly with many members of the San Francisco team who are here today. I also marched with my then 8-month-old daughter. It was her first protest. As she napped in the carrier on my chest and we made our way down Market Street, I felt a profound bittersweetness. I was proud to be taking part in this tradition of activism, but I was saddened and angered that we had to be here at all. As we were reaching the end of the route, we approached the ferry building just across the bridge from where we are right now. It was a gorgeous day, unlike today, and the bay glittered in the background. I was thinking about where I might stop to feed my daughter when I saw a sign that stopped me in my tracks. It said, "I marched with my mother. I never imagined I'd have to march with my daughter." And so this is why I choose to engage in this fight every single day. Because we have come a long way, but we have so much more to do. Because it's easier to do nothing, but it feeds our soul to do something. Because progress is not inevitable, and we have to shape it with our own hands. So today, I'm recommitting to this fight so that when my daughter marches in the future, it's not to protest rights that are being taken away, but to expand our rights and freedoms so that all of us, our children,